As soon as they got the strange message, Izoi, Asuka, and Yu, 3 teenagers, were zapped to a small garden. They didn't plan this trip, but they were happy for the adventure, tired of their dull lives. They found themselves near a lake and quickly realized they weren't alone. To coax the hidden girl out from the bushes, they showed off their amazing powers. Black Rabbit, surprised by their boldness, welcomed them to the garden and explained why they were there. They had a chance to join in gift games, contests that used powers given by gods, demons, spirits, and stars. The prizes could be anything from money and land to special abilities and honor, but they had to meet specific conditions to win. The game rules were always shown on Igea's roll before starting. In their first game, Black Rabbit set up a card game. Izoi cleverly won and got his prize. He asked Black Rabbit if the games were fun, and she excitedly said yes and led them to her community. There, Jean, their community leader, welcomed the new kids. Right as Black Rabbit was going to introduce the 3 kids, she realizes Izoi is gone. Asuka and Yusei he went to explore the edge of this world. Black Rabbit, a bit annoyed, uses her powers to jump high and go find Izoi. She finds him by a waterfall, ready to scold him, but she's shocked to see that Izoi is fighting a water god, a big dragon-like creature. The water god attacks with huge water swirls, but Izoi beats him with one powerful kick. Black Rabbit is amazed that a human beat a god and happy to find out that winning got them a water tree, which will give her community endless water. Meanwhile, Jean takes Asuka and Yu to his community, and they sit in a cafe. Yu shares that she can talk to animals. Asuka is about to talk about her power, but a tall, blonde man, Galdo, interrupts. He's the leader of another community, Forasgaro, and wants them to join him, saying Jin's community is weak and unknown. The kids learn that Jin's group used to be strong but lost its name and strength because of a demon lord attack. Now, it's mostly just kids left. Despite this, the new kids choose to stay and help Jin's community grow again. Galdo gets upset when Asuka questions him. Using her power, she makes him tell the truth about his community's success. They take women and children from other places to control them, but the secret is those hostages are already dead. When Asuka lets Galdo go, he turns into a big, furry tiger creature. However, Yu manages to subdue him, and the two challenge him to a fight the next day. After Black Rabbit and Izoi come back, the group goes to see Shirayasha, a strong demon lord who keeps peace and is the boss of the east side of Little Garden. Izoi wants to test Shirayasha's strength and challenges her. They end up on her game board, a huge place with a mountain at night. Shirayasha, who says she's the sun spirit and a white knight, brings out a griffin to see how strong and smart the players are. Yu steps up and rides the griffin. It flies around the mountain, and Yu almost falls but holds on, getting strength from her dad's necklace. They pass the test and get gift cards from Shirayasha to keep their powers. But Shirayasha is surprised when she can't figure out Izoi's power. After a big first day, Asuka, Yu, and Black Rabbit relax in a hot bath from Izoi's water tree and get new clothes with special protection. Izoi then sees people from the Forasgaro community in their area. They ask him to beat their leader, Galdo, who they can't fight because he has their families. Izoi tells them Galdo already killed the hostages and says Jean, their leader, will fight Galdo and the demon lords. Jean isn't happy about Izoi's promise and talks to him about it. Izoi shares his plan. Since their community doesn't have a name or flag, they need Jean to be their face and strength to bring everyone together. Then Jean shares that they have another member, Letitia, a one-time demon lord, now owned by a top official and will be a prize in an upcoming game. Izoi tells Jean he'll get Letitia back if Jean can beat Galdo. The next day's game is in Galdo's area, a thick jungle. They find Galdo, who looks like a huge tiger with scary red eyes. Jean thinks a vampire demon is involved. He spots a special sword in the wall for the players to use. Yu tries to fight Galdo alone but gets hurt. Asuka then sets fire to Galdo's place and draws him into the forest. There, she uses her power to tie Galdo with vines and uses the sword to defeat him. This wins the game for them, clears the jungle, and ends Galdo's group. Back home, Black Rabbit is happy Izoi will help win Letitia back in the next game. When she leaves to make tea, a vampire girl attacks Izoi, but he fights back. Hearing the noise, everyone comes in, and Black Rabbit stops Izoi, saying the girl is Letitia, a vampire and former demon lord. After things calm down, Asuka asks Letitia why she helped Galdo and gave him strong powers. Letitia says she wanted to test the newcomers to see if they were good enough to take over her old community. After they win, Letitia still isn't totally sure about them and challenges Izoi to a fight with long spears. But suddenly, they're attacked by strong beams from the sky, from Gorgon's power. Letitia gets hit by the beams while protecting Asuka and turns to stone. Then, the Perseus group shows up and takes Stone Letitia to give her back to Luz, her owner. But Luz doesn't want to use Letitia as a game prize anymore. He plans to sell her. The no-names visit Shirayasha to talk to Luz about Letitia. Luz offers to trade Letitia for making Black Rabbit work for him. He gives them a week to decide. Later, Black Rabbit goes to Luz and challenges him to a duel, using 2 special balls Aizioi got from beating monsters. Luz agrees, starting a legend challenge at his castle. They have to sneak past guards and beat Luz without being seen. Asuka uses the water tree to stop some guards, and Yu finds invisible guards and stops them. So, Black Rabbit, Aizioi, and Jean get to Luz, who's with Stone Letitia. Luz brings out Algol, a demon lord who turns things to stone. As Algol tries to turn everyone to stone, Aizioi hits him hard, beating him and breaking the stone power. Letitia, now free, thanks them and says she'll work for them as a maid because she's grateful. A few days later, Aizioi, Asuka, and you get a secret letter inviting them to a Fire Dragon festival. They're upset because Black Rabbit doesn't want them to go, so they write her a letter saying they might leave the no-names if she doesn't find them by the day's end. Black Rabbit, mad at them, rushes off with Letitia to look for them. The kids wonder how to travel the long distance to the festival and ask Shirayasha for help. She tells them she's helping organize the festival to welcome Sandora, the new leader of the northern area. With a clap of her hands, Shirayasha teleports them there. Black Rabbit quickly finds them, catching you first and then Asuka and Aizioi. Aizioi fights Black Rabbit on rooftops, but they're stopped by the local police and taken to Sandora. Sandora is happy to see them and doesn't punish them, even though her brother is not pleased. To make up for it, the no-names agree to protect the area from a predicted Demon Lord attack. Asuka tries to make friends with a fairy from the Pied Piper group. They go to an exhibit and see a big steel giant named Dean. Suddenly, the lights go out and rats attack them, but Asuka can't control them with her power. Letitia saves them just in time. That evening, Shirayasha says Black Rabbit will referee a big competition tomorrow, where you, who got in by beating a stone monster, will face people from Will-O-Wisp and Pied Piper groups. Shirayasha explains that the Pied Piper and Grim Gromwer groups, once controlled by a strong demon lord, are now a threat again with the Pied Piper's support, especially with the upcoming attack on the northern area. During a meeting, Asuka wonders about the little fairies sleeping on her lap. The next day, Yu decides to fight by herself in the big competition. Her opponents are Aisha and Jack-O-Lantern from the Will-O-Wisp group. They find themselves in a big maze underground. Yu runs through it, while Aisha and Jack chase her, shooting blue fire. Yu finds the maze exit, but Jack shows he's a really strong demon. Yu feels she can't win and thinks she should have had a partner. Then, lots of black balls fall from the sky, starting the Demon Lord's attack. Shirayasha gets trapped in a black smoke ball and can't help. The game's goal is to break a fake legend and show the true story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Aisha Yua decides to fight the Demon Lord by himself. He ends up fighting Weezer, a character from the Pied Piper story. Meanwhile, Letitia fights Strong, a big creature, and then with Sandora, fights Pest, the Demon Lord of the Black Plague. Rodden, another character from the story, plays her pipe, making giant rats and people in the city dance wildly. Asuka tries to stop the rats, but her powers aren't strong enough. Black Rabbit, as the judge of the game, calls a meeting to talk about the battle. The hosts say they didn't break any rules, even when they limited Shirayasha's role, and the little garden officials, who are connected through Black Rabbit's ears, agree. Pest shocks everyone by saying she's already spread the Black Plague among Salamander's people to force them to give up. Jean, who's been studying a lot, knows the Pied Piper legend well and makes a deal with Pest. They'll continue the games in a week, with a 24-hour time limit, and Black Rabbit can join. Pest likes this because she thinks she can win quickly. Meanwhile, Asuka wakes up in a dark place. The fairy is with her, and she's surrounded by bright fairy swarms. They want her to take control of the steel giant, Dean. A few days later, people start showing signs of the Black Plague, and you get sick too. Aiseoi thinks hard about the legend and realizes something important. The attackers aren't the real Pied Piper of Hamelin, but a version from the Grimm's fairy tales that changed the original 1284 story. He also figures out why Shirayasha can't join. Hundreds of years ago, the Black Plague spread fast because the sun was cooler, and since Shirayasha controls the sun in Little Garden, she's dangerous to Pest. Aiseoi thinks they can win by showing the true Pied Piper legend, which is told in the stained glass panels of Hamelin. After a week's break, the game starts again. Pest uses all her strength and makes the city of Hamelin appear. Raiden and some Stroms attack Jean and others in Salamandra, who are trying to break the stained glass panels in the church. But Letitia stops Raiden, and Asuka arrives with Dean, the steel giant, to fight off Strom. Dean beats the Stroms with strong hits. When all are beaten, Asuka lets Raiden play one last song on her pipe. Raiden's magic song almost makes Asuka and Dean fall under her spell, but Asuka stays strong. Raiden accepts she's lost and disappears. Aiseoi and Vaser also have a tough fight. Vaser is much stronger now because of Pest, making him a real challenge for Aiseoi. Aiseoi reveals Vaser as the real Pied Piper of Hamelin from the original 1284 story, while Pest, Raiden, and Strum were added later. Vaser agrees and attacks again, but Aiseoi wins and Vaser also disappears. While Sandora and Black Rabbit are fighting Pest, Sandora shoots fire and Black Rabbit throws lightning bolts. But Pest, powered by the anger and sadness from the 80 million Black Plague deaths, blocks everything. Feeling that Raiden and Vaser are defeated, Pest attacks the city with a deadly wind. Yu tries to save a child from the wind and is almost caught, but Dean saves her. Aiseoi then helps Black Rabbit and Sandora fight Pest. Suddenly, Black Rabbit uses her gift card to move them to the Moon Palace, Chandra Mahal. Pest gets weaker on the moon, so Sandora traps her with fire rings, and Asuka tells Dean to finish Pest with a strong spear. Back in Salamandra, Sandora tells everyone they've beaten the Demon Lord. The little fairies share their story of 130 children from Hamelin who tried to start a new place but were lost in a disaster. They can now go back to their time, leaving Asuka with Dean and the fairy, who she names Mira. At the palace, Aiseoi talks to Sandora's brother, who planned everything to show Sandora as a good leader. Aiseoi lets him go, but he must promise that Salamandra will help the No-Names later. Finally, back home, the No-Names look at their land, ready to make it better and bring their community back to its old strength. And this brings the anime to an end. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on another video. Until next time, take care.